Hello, it's Helen from Journal with Purpose and welcome to my latest Journal with Me video. In this video I'm using a Ranger Traveller's Notebook cover from Start Bay Notebooks, and I will be creating inside a Kraft paper Traveller's Notebook insert. I'm starting off by looking through some of the wrapping papers that I received from London Gifties. And if you saw my unboxing video last week, you'll have seen how excited I was to open these up. It feels like ages since I've used my Kraft paper TN. I always seem to pick up the white one, but I thought I wanted to challenge myself and just see how things change and how they look different once I'm using the Kraft paper insert. The next thing I'm doing is using some white printer paper, and I'm going to cut that up and use it just to mask off a section on my page. I'm using some very thin washi tape and I've folded it over just to make sure that I can stick it to my page but be able to easily remove it once I've finished with it. I'm using a folk art stencil and 2 distress oxides in bundled sage and squeezed lemonade. I've put some paper over the right hand page because I don't want to get any ink on there, and I'm now using the ink blending tool to put that ink through the stencil. I really like this leaf-shaped stencil, and I thought it matched in really well with the paper I've used on the other page. It is a really old stencil, but if I can find it, I'll make sure that I link it in the description box down below. I've now switched over onto the yellow ink, and I just lined the stencil up to make sure that that pattern will continue to flow all the way down the page. And once the stenciling is done, I've removed that masking sheet, so it's left me with a clear kind of border in the middle of the page. The next thing I'm doing is looking through my vintage papers from London Gifties, and I will start ripping them up and creating a collage background. When I'm creating the backgrounds for my journal pages, I always try and make sure that things match up kind of in terms of theme and colour scheme. So I've picked out whites, browns, greens and yellows from the paper bundle just to make sure they tie in nicely with the wrapping paper that I used on the other page. And it also should then tie in nicely with the 2 ink colours that I chose as well. Now that I'm happy with the papers I've chosen, I'm just going to use some Pritt Stick to glue them all down. I often find that my journal pages reflect the nature that's around me, and because we're just moving into spring and we've got lots of green leaves and yellow daffodils coming up, I think that's definitely influenced the colour scheme that I chose for my pages. And I'm now going to add a yellow dried flower on the top of the collage pages. I'm using some PVA glue to stick the flower down, and I will also then add some washi tape from London Gifties over the top. And again, I've picked a green colour, and I'll also then pick a neutral browny yellow colour. To make sure the pages look balanced, I've then added some of that same washi tape as a border down the right hand page. The next thing I'm going to do is add some stamping, and these wooden block stamps came from London Gifties. Again, you may have seen me open them in the unboxing video last week. And I'm going to use a black ink pad because I want to start adding some contrast to my pages. When I'm stamping, I always put the underlay board underneath the page, and I find that just gives me a lot better result from the stamp, particularly once I've started to get my pages a bit bulkier with the other things that I've stuck on. I wasn't sure how well I'd be able to stamp on top of the wrapping paper, but I thought that it came out really well. The next thing I'm doing is using a black Muji gel pen, and I'm going to trace the outline of some of the leaves from that stenciling. I just thought it would give it a nice effect and really help them to stand out. I really like using this pen. I find that it works really well on a wide range of kind of backgrounds and papers, but I don't use it if I'm going to be adding anything wet like watercolour because it will smudge really easily. Now I'm finished with all of the decorating, I'm going to add my journal writing, and I'm going to add that right over the top of the background on the left hand page, and as usual once I get to the right hand page I'm going to turn the book round, and I just find that that adds another level of interest, having the writing in two directions. Spring is one of my favourite seasons, and I'm writing about how it just feels full of promise and how everything is changing and developing, and it feels that it matches in really well with how I'm feeling about my life and everything else going on at the moment. I really hope you've enjoyed watching this video. If you have, it would be great if you would leave it a thumbs up. And if you are new to my channel, I would love it if you would consider subscribing. If you've got any questions or comments, please do leave them down below. And thank you ever so much for watching, and I really look forward to speaking to you in the next one.